Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in, and welcome back to the 1980s when science fiction reigned supreme. Enough said, so let's jump right into today's 1980s sci-fi movies you need to see again. Part 2. Number 10, Slipstream, 1989. You'd think that a film specifically named after the raging wind current circling the globe, that force would be reflected in the storytelling. Well, I'd say farts have a quicker pace. As it so happens, the world has been left reeling from a calamitous natural disaster. Slipstream, right? What's left of humanity struggle to rebuild a shantytown version of civilization. Luckily, the law still exists to maintain order. Two bounty hunters, Will Tasker and Belitsky. And from this point on, you'll be soaring on the wings of boredom for about 2 hours. The in-flight menu includes wooden performances by the likes of Bill Paxton and Mark Hamill, engaging in stiff dialogue from the pages of a meandering plot.
I slip the surly bonds of earth, put out my hand and touch the face of God.
Crazy bastard.
At an agonizingly slow pace. I watched this a few times and then I just zoned out for most of it. But this development perked me up a little bit. And honestly, what's more exciting than aeroplane chases? Especially when the planes are this dorky looking. But by the end, I wasn't invested in any aspect of this, and I guess Mark Hamill can relate to that. Number 9, Robot Jox, 1989. Hey guys, prepare to be Pacific Rimmed. More accurately, Rock'em Sock'emed. 50 years after a nuclear exchange, a reconstituted America and Russia have outlawed war. Instead, giant Jaegers have it out like a Frankie Goes to Hollywood music video. Let's go to war, let's go to war. Robot Jox are as famous as Jaeger pilots. Achilles has 9 victories under his belt and needs 1 more to complete his contract and retire. But he must defeat the reigning Confederation champion, Alexander, who incidentally killed all of his last 9 opponents. And well, the contest doesn't go well, especially for the spectators. Alexander sets Achilles' robot on its ass with a rocket punch to the kidneys, crushing 300 fans in the process. But the spoils of mech war is territory. Alaska is up for grabs. The contest is a draw, and the rematch will take place 1 week later. But Achilles' weak spot is failure and guilt, and he resigns his jockstrap and retreats to his brother's family. Meanwhile, on the streets, he's persona non grata. His girlfriend Athena takes his place in the rematch with Alexander. Achilles, only with the best intentions for Athena, swoops back to rematch against Alexander, which pisses off Athena incredibly. And all the while, a conspiracy undermines America's mechs. Robot Jox is uneven. The stop-frame animation battle sequences stand out, but on the other hand, there's physical props like this. The story was decent enough, but the movie was trying to accommodate to younger and adult audiences. And can you believe that this thing cost between $6 to $10 million to produce? And it only raked in $1 million. Nonetheless, Robot Jox is a pretty fun little movie, and I was struck by the movie's appreciation of men's brooches. Number 8, Krull, 1983. This little sci-fi fantasy ditty was in heavy rotation on pay TV when I was a young punk, so I presumed that it was a blockbuster. The Beast pulls up in his black fortress to crash the wedding of Prince Colwyn and Princess Lisa, to combine kingdoms in the hope to defeat the Beast and his ruthless army. Well, that doesn't work because the hors d'oeuvres are overturned when the princess is sacked and taken to the Black Fortress, wounded in the raid and rescued by the Wise One, Ynir, who impresses upon Colwyn to seek the glaive if he's to defeat the Beast. As he embarks on this harrowing quest to rescue his love and kick some Beast ass, he's confronted by a ragtag group of fugitives, including most notably Keegan, played by a young Liam Neeson. Together they all venture forth through treachery and danger in an epic tale that was slammed for being too derivative of Star Wars and The Lord of the Rings. But ease up, folks, because there were a lot of similar sci-fi and fantasy movies of the type at the time. No matter, Krull boasted a budget of 30 million bones, but it didn't deliver on the box office returns. Krull excelled in creating a broad and captivating world, inhabited by a plethora of strong and captivating characters, beautifully rendered environments, sets, and special effects. Unfortunately, genre saturation snuffed out Krull's chances of success. The pacing wasn't even throughout the film, and even Ken Marshall's Colwyn was criticized for being too akin to that of Luke Skywalker. Maybe having Liam Neeson in the role would have helped Krull punch upwards on critical reviews. And nonetheless, Krull remains a cult favorite. Number 7, Howard the Duck, 1986. This Duck is foul, and no one, not even George Lucas, could save Howard's feathered ass. Cringiness right from the get-go. Duck-based tongue-in-beak movie posters, Playboy knockoff, duck nipples, the works, and this doesn't bode well for the remaining 100 minutes. Me being unfamiliar with the comics, I've learned that the pulp version of Howard was more sardonic, sarcastic, and edgy. This cinematic Howard, however, was reduced to an off-putting anthropomorphic disaster, perfect for this painfully derivative flop, buttressed by yet another unimaginative story spine of aliens trying to take over the planet like those shat out in every Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Everything feels contrived. Beverly's milquetoast band. Yeah, hardcore punks listen to this shit. And of course, not forgetting the frantic action scenes, which don't convey convincingly any sense of excitement or movement, just confusion and straight up goofiness.
No one laughs at a master of quack food.
It's all beyond silly, beyond reproach, beyond viewable. So be my guest. Check it out if you're hungry for an unfertilized 1980s film disaster. Number 6, DEFCON 4, 1985. A lesser-known blip on the list of 1980s nuclear holocaust movies. DEFCON 4 wasn't a ballistic success, but it did hit a few targets. An American orbital nuclear missile platform witnesses World War III bake off right before the crew's eyes. Despite flared tempers on whether to remain in orbit or return to the devastated Earth, a mysterious transmission sets their fate in motion.
Listen, I'm telling you, this is going down by itself. This is not my program.
Someone on the planet has given the command for Nemesis to crash land. Due to this, the crew arm the warheads to detonate in 60 hours, including one defective missile that fails to launch and crashes along with the astronauts on a beach in Nova Scotia. And that becomes a megaton of a bitch. Trying to dig out of the capsule, Walker gets yanked and eaten by cannibals. Jordan's got a concussion. Oh, what a pickle! Cecil Howe ventures into the wilderness to find survivors and help. No, that's not help. Howe is then captured by local survivor Vinny. In his armored excavator, he drags Howe's and JJ's ass back to the crash site, only to be captured by Gideon Hayes' army. And as much as he throws his weight and stakes around, he's no challenge for Cecil Howe.
Don't do it! Don't pick him up! Look, don't pick him up! Don't do it! Look, just set him down now and get in the water!
And up until the end, the double crosses and twists were enjoyable to watch. And if you didn't know, the producers of DEFCON 4 went on to create the divisive and strange sci-fi series Lex. Number 5, Dune, 1984. Long even before Denis Villeneuve made his award-winning short film The Next Floor, David Lynch took a stab at the giant worms, with that Lynch touch. In retrospect, Lynch seems like a wild card choice to helm the cinematic exploration of Frank Herbert's deeply steeped and intricate novel Dune. Lynch attempted to cram Herbert's entire novel into 1984's Dune. An admirable effort, but unfortunately the movie awkwardly tries to shoulder the weight of these worlds. A Herculean task of curating the heady story of Paul Atreides' coming of age, leading to the proverbial spice of life. While the audience gnawed on the thick narrative and superfluous expositional dumps was too much for those unfamiliar with the novel. I mean, shit, I'm not familiar with the novels either, and I was in the same boat. So telling the audience rather than showing them the movie and the actions came across as being rather pedantic. And what's with all the whispering exposition?
It has to be something to do with the spice. But what?
What Lynch did bring forward was an interesting steampunk aesthetic, however the limitations of special effects in 1984 didn't do his vision justice. Unlike Villeneuve's breathtaking exploitation of CGI to make his rendition more lived in and tangible. Also, Lynch's Dune had many humorous moments of the unintentional variety. And Sting's overly confident Fade Rotha and his wing speedo.
I will kill him!
And also, the scale of the giant worms were dwarfed by Villeneuve's. But what can you do? Universal quickly pulled the plug on planned sequels after the less than encouraging box office returns. But what's your preference? Lynch's condensed mind trip or the measured pacing and attention to reality of Villeneuve's Dune trilogy, set to wrap up in 2026? I really want to know what you think. Leave your comments below, por favor. Number 4, The Running Man, 1987. Is this Arnie's Idiocracy? Crocs would pair perfectly with with these jumpsuits.
Hey, Christmas tree!
The movie, adapted from Stephen King's novel of the same name, Ben Richards is framed for a civilian massacre he didn't commit. In this fucked up future dystopia, the Defense Department funds a hit gladiator TV show. It's nothing more than televised bread and circus for future rabid plebs. Richards and his comrades run the gauntlet of wrestlers who liquidate all except for Arnie and his squeeze, Amber Mendez. Even Yaphet Kotto doesn't make the network's syndication cut, like last year's Running Man winners. Unlike his predecessors, Richards survives the spectacle and sparks a rebellion. The Running Man is peak 1980s satire in gaudy jumpsuits and even more ridiculous adversarial touches. Set designs and Arnie's one-liners are particularly weak in this movie.
How about the light?
The connect the dots scenario is as if it's on autopilot, and the repetitive battle scenes are anticlimactic, although I do like the hubris of each gladiator being killed by their own stupid weapons.
What happened to Baza?
He had to split.
Or the laughable vehicles that they drive. The movie's greatest success is lampooning the inherent sleaze within the TV industry. All in all, The Running Man is still fun to watch, but it doesn't rank in the top tiers of Arnie's 1980s filmography. Number 3, Aliens, 1986. Conceivably the best sci-fi sequel of all times to possibly the best seminal sci-fi horror film of all time. Double whoppers. And we all know how the story plays out, but what I want to examine is the impact of this bug hunt. So get your ass in the dropship and hit the ground running. The shake and bake colony on LV-426 has gone silent. Ripley fears the worst, but the cocky Marines complain about the weather.
Hot as hell in here.
Yeah, man, but it's a dry heat.
The colony's in tatters as they discover a facehugger nursery. The xenomorphs pick off half of the squad and Burke whines like a weasel.
It was a bad call, Ripley. It was a bad call.
Bad call.
Right.
These people are dead, Burke!
Never trust a Burke, but always trust your pulse rifle.
Even the Pharaoh sex, like Ripley here, is doing her part. So is Newt.
And the automated gun sentries were a lifesaver for about 5 minutes. And the cast tumbles down a dark hole of pain and agony. Not a moment is wasted thanks to Cameron's script and directing. Nothing throughout the film feels out of place. Loaded with iconic catchphrases.
Why'd you put her in charge?
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Add so much to this movie. Too bad Aliens wasn't the benchmark for the franchise going forward. But no skin off Cameron's ass though, with his long list of successes. But that Avatar can fuck right off. So stay frosty and rewatch Aliens. Number 2, Escape from New York, 1981. The town's so nice they put it on ice. Escape from New York is the brain trust of John Carpenter, who takes the Warriors to the next level.
Come out to play.
The urban rot of the Big Apple, like the 5 boroughs in the 1970s, is one-upped. Manhattan transformed into America's only open-air mega prison. And not like that could present any problems down the road, such as Air Force One being hijacked by radical forces waging an ideological war on the tyrannical US government, and then crash into Building 7. No, not really Building 7. The president, played by Donald Pleasance, is fitted with a miniature homing watch, then jettisoned into the presidential escape egg, and then he's taken hostage by the inmates. Enter Snake Plissken, furloughed from his prison sentence and presented the ultimatum to rescue the president and return the mixed tape that will prevent World War III. Unbeknownst to him, accepting the mission includes injecting nanobombs into his innards that will detonate when the counter hits 0. And the retro episode of 24 begins. Snake is launched into Manhattan on a jet glider, lands on one of the Twin Towers. Badass. Snake snakes his way through apocalyptic New York like a one-man fighting force, and lo and behold, Snake encounters Harold the Brain Hellman, Harry Dean Stanton.
Right.
And his girlfriend Maggie. Harold's the reason for Snake's incarceration, making for an uneasy reunion. They skulk across town to free the president from...
You fought with the Duke of New York. You're a number 1.
The Duke and the Warriors clash, and then dash as Snake and the President, great title by the way, literally escape from New York. To be honest, I'm on the fence. The setup is solid. A, the President is in jeopardy. B, anachronistic New York City. And C, an on-the-nose anti-hero. Box office that should have detonated, but Raiders of the Lost Ark sucked up its thunder. And it didn't help that the bulk of the film taking place in Manhattan felt generic and cardboard. It screams the Warriors.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
but is markedly more brutal, like Snake having to spike this bearded monstrosity. Much of the action seems staged and boring, like this trade center rooftop melee. What the fuck is going on there? Even the street bottle barrage feels thinly contrived, especially if they're trying to convey a hard-knock life on the island. Although Harry Dean Stanton seems to channel Bud from Repo Man.
Goddamn Redskins!
Goddamn dipshit Rodriguez! Gypsy dildo punks!
Pleasance's president reached for the knife with his pat, slimy politician depiction, but does he cut into the ham too thick? But I don't know if this is intended to be sexy or not, but looks like Pliskin's got a snake for a dick. Christ, I really want to like this movie more. Escape from New York is thick with mixed emotions.
Duke of New York ain't number one.
Yeah.
Number 1, The Thing, 1982. A deadly alien is loose in the Antarctic. Outpost 31 falls because of those damn Norwegians and their fucking dog. The Americans didn't know the dog was hosting an alien, thereby reprising the Norwegians' terrifying experience. What can I say, it livens up the base a little bit. And Snake Plissken has 2 eye patches now, and completely unaware of what danger the dog presents, and soon enough, a grotesque fanged fate tears through the camp. Mick Reddy, yes, that's his name, struggles to take control, but when you're second guessing who's real and who's an alien doppelganger, then shit gets pretty hairy and uncertain. Mick Reddy improvises a blood test to flush out the imitations, but that doesn't cut it. Blair, the senior researcher, learns the dire truth of their outcome. He sees how the alien cells make babies, and his computer program predicts that the contagion will completely infect the Earth's population. His recommendation is to strand themselves and watch the characters drop like flies. In this scene, I don't know if it was intended to be hilarious, but it sure cracks me up.
Nom 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 nom.
All in all, The Thing is a standout from John Carpenter. It boasts an excellent cast, fun and sometimes funny physical effects, but what really sells The Thing is the exploration of isolation, terror, and loss of identity. So I wonder what pronoun this thing is. Alright folks, that's today's top 10 list. How did these stack up? Did Howard the Duck make your sphincter clench? Should David Lynch have been allowed to direct Dune? And how awesome is Aliens? Let me know down in the comments, and thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember folks, stay frosty, and I'll catch you in the next one.